Hi Capricorn, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot. My name is Carol, and in today's reading we're going to be doing a spread on anger, and in particular we're going to be looking at how you can embrace your anger. Anger is such a powerful emotion, especially when it is used in a grounded way, but I think that a lot of us were taught when we were younger not to have anger and to put it away and suppress it. And so over time we have these beliefs in us, and a lot of times they're hidden and buried deep in our unconscious that we're not allowed to use our anger. And, you know, maybe we've been humiliated for it when we were younger, or abandoned, or, you know, things like sent to your room because you got angry. And so the real issue here isn't anger itself, but it's that suppressed anger, because if you keep pushing it down, it comes out in the wrong ways, the wrong times, and at the wrong people. And it's not what we want. So anger will always find a way out. It is a very, very powerful emotion. And so in today's reading, let's take a peek at, we're going to start off with using the Curious Travels tarot deck. I'm going to pull 4 cards for that. And then I'm going to clarify that with the Radiant Rider-Waite deck. And let's start off with pulling our 4 cards. So let's start off with what pattern situation is creating anger in Capricorn's life right now. Just one card came out really fast. You have the Queen of Pentacles. And secondly, let's take a look at how does your repressed or your ungrounded anger manifest itself in your daily life. And so what's going on with it? How is it showing up in your daily life right now? So let's have one card for that for Capricorn. Here we go. The Knight of Cups. In the 3rd position, what are you afraid will happen if you express your anger? And that's important to look at, because that's your buried fear that you have there with your anger, and why you're not allowed to express it, because there's fears behind that. So one card, oh, here we go. You have the Hangman in reverse. And finally, how can you begin to release or express your anger in a grounded way? And that's what's, you know, really important here, because I'm not going to leave you hanging on this 3rd spot with this hangman. So I'm going to give you some guidance from the tarot, and also I'll give you a couple suggestions that I've done on other videos on my other channel called Carol Cares, and you can have take a look at those to help you out. Ooh, got 2 here. So this one came out first, which was the 7 of Wands. And then right behind it, you got the Devil. Okay, so I'm going to pull some clarifiers for those. Now these 2 decks have been pre-shuffled before I came on. So let's have some clarifiers for the Queen of Pentacles. A couple of clarifiers, please. One more. There we go. So you have the Emperor, and you have the 7 of Cups. And how about this Knight of Cups right here? A couple cards for that to clarify. One more here. Ooh, that one got bent. One more. Oh, it's wanting to talk. It's wanting to come out. Ooh, there we go. Okay, so you got the 2 of Swords in reverse. Then you got the 4 of Swords. And then you got the Magician card. And the Hangman in reverse, a couple cards for that. That one. One more. Okay. High Priestess. And the Page of Wands in reverse. Now, how about the Seven of Wands and the Devil card? Couple cards, maybe one, maybe two. See if there's one more that wants to come out. If not, we'll go with the Temperance card, which is what we got. Ooh. We have the Temperance card. I think I'm gonna, yeah, we'll leave that for now. If I think I need more, I'll pull some more. All right, let's start off with what pattern situation is creating anger in your life right now, Capricorn. You start off with the Queen of Pentacles. And the Queen of Pentacles, the Queen, first of all, my deck is the feminine side to us. We all have a feminine side. We have a masculine side. And we'll talk a little bit about the masculine side when we get to, well, the Emperor's right here. So we're going to talk about that in a bit. But the feminine side is, it has nothing to do with gender, but the feminine side brings a lot of qualities that have been buried in us for a long time. And in particular, this Queen talks about being grounded in your own body. And when I talk about being grounded, I mean like you're literally taking the time out during your day, at the beginning of your day, to just get still with yourself and put your feet on the ground and do the breathing you need to get back into your body, because there's so many of us that are still up in our head and listening to our ego self and thinking that that's our real self. But we need to get grounded so we can get in touch with that intuition. It's very interesting that I said intuition, because the High Priestess comes up and she's our feminine intuitive side. And so I think you're having a hard time staying grounded because she's in reverse right here. You know, if we want to get in touch with our anger and figure out, you know, embrace it and try to ground our anger, and maybe you're someone that has felt anger because she's in reverse, and when she's in reverse, that can bring up some anger in us. And it can also bring up some real hopelessness in us as well. We can fluctuate between anger and hopelessness. I know for me, I had a hard time getting to my anger. And so I'd often right away get into hopelessness when really what I wanted to get into was my anger. But instead I would go into hopelessness because I wasn't allowed to touch my anger. And so I think you're having a hard time getting grounded. And so we need to look at, you know, what situation here is coming up in your life that's sort of preventing you from being grounded and staying grounded in your body. And you have the Emperor card that comes out next, and the Emperor is number 4, real stable number. I mean, look at him. He's number 4 in the major arcana. So it's like this archetypal figure here, kind of like a father-like figure. I see him being very controlling. When he comes out, depends on where he is. He's a very controlling figure. He sits on his chair and he's been there for a long time, and he's not moving because he has behind him this world that he's set out, these societal rules, these imaginary rules of society that we continue to follow. We don't know why, but they kind of control our lives. And so I'm seeing, you know, I'm wondering if there is some sort of rules that you followed, maybe that you were brought up with, or you're sitting in a controlling environment. Chances are, if you are sitting in an environment right now where you're feeling controlled, it's oftentimes a flashback to our childhood, that where we were also controlled. And so it's good to really look at that, because I feel like you're very much in a controlled situation. And we don't want to be controlled. And it's fascinating that over here, your Knight of Cups is coming up, because that's the part of us that wants away from that. So we'll talk about that when we get to it. The 7 of Cups comes next behind this controlling Emperor. And the 7 of Cups is this individual who's staring at all these cups. And look at the weird things that are coming out of all those cups. And I think about this card sometimes, and it reminds me of when you're younger, when you're going through one of those, what do you call those things that come to town? Not circuses, but those the rides, carnivals, there we go. The carnivals that we go to, and there's these cheap games, and you've got all these things on offer here, and you can either buy some darts and see if you can pick the big prize, get the big prize, and you know that there's never a big prize under all of them. So it's like you're there and you're looking at all these cups and they're all on offer for you, but there's a lot of clouds going on here on the top, and you're feeling kind of, which one of these to pick, and I'm not quite sure. And because this is a healing channel, this card right here is my dissociation card. When we are having a very difficult time staying in our body, staying grounded in our body, we will be up in our heads. We will be dissociating. If we are up in our heads, we are dissociating, and that's what dissociating is, because if you are in an environment that's very controlling, that's an unsafe environment for you. And so that's where I think you are right now, Capricorn. And because you are being controlled, you're feeling like you're being controlled, there's this anger that's brewing underneath. And so how does your repressed anger manifest itself in your daily life? Well, you start off with the Knight. And this is the Knight of Cups. And cups, first of all, are our emotions. And the Knight in my deck is that part of you, I call it my freedom fighter, and it's angry because, and we all have this part. It's that part of you that wants to get free from control. It's a young adolescent part of us. If you think about an adolescent, they don't want to be controlled. And they want to have the freedom to be themselves. They want to have the freedom to go towards their authentic self. And so there's a real part of you that is really tired of being told who you are, what you're supposed to do, and how you're supposed to do it. And so you're wanting to break free from that. You're wanting to break free and go towards your authentic self, just to be you. And that's how this is manifesting in your life. You have this part that's just dying to get away from this oppression. And you have the Two of Swords right underneath it. And because this part of you is pulling at you, and it's really hard because you have to think about it here. You have over here this Emperor and this oppression that's going on with you. And then you've also got this part that's pulling at you. So you're really having a tug of war in your system that's going on right now. And so what you've done is, here's the Two of Swords. The Swords energy are these thoughts that go on in our head, these belief systems that we have. And this is really interesting because we talked about this the Emperor card that talks about these imaginary society rules. And maybe these are the rules that are going on in your head. But this particular person in an upright position has crossed their heart with these swords, right? And I think a lot of times if we're feeling like this oppression is hurting us, and if we're sitting in a lot of pain, and it seems like you're stuck in a lot of turmoil going on inside of you, and that may be another reason why you are staying up in your head, you don't want to go into your body, because you got to feel when you go into your body. And so I think you're very much shut down. I think you've kind of almost like, this person right here has given up. There's all these emotions, water represent emotions over here. And, our emotions are supposed to flow. They're supposed to come in, we feel them, we process them, and they go out. But this person is going, no, I'm done. I'm so done. And I think you're just kind of keeping everything down. Because there's just so much going on in your system. And there's a part of you that really is wanting to get some stillness. This is the card that is saying you need to get still. It's the Four of Swords. And it's like when it gets so busy in our heads that it's like this call that says, it's time for you to get still. It's time for you to rest. this mind of yours that's just continually spinning here. And then it ends with the Magician card, which is really fascinating because the Magician card is this master manifester. It's the major arcana number 1. And it's the card that says you have everything at your disposal to manifest anything in your life. Okay. But what does that mean? Because I find that word manifestation and manifest things in your life is really used quite liberally in a lot of, YouTube videos, people talking about that. And you can manifest anything. You can. But here's the thing. You have to be grounded. You have to be in your body to manifest those things that are really important to you, that are really meant for you. Because if we try to manifest things in our life to come forward, and we're not grounded, then we're going to get these ungrounded things that are not meant for us. And so this card comes out when it says, you have everything in you. You have everything in you to be able to embrace this anger, to get to the bottom of it, to actually feel it, because there's this real part of you that wants to feel what this anger is and to ground this anger that you have that's coming up for you. And this card says you have everything in you, but I think there's a real call for you to get still. And so what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of if you decide to express this anger in you that's wanting to come out right here with this Knight of Cups, wants to express it? What are you afraid of? Well, the first card that comes in is the Hangman. It's in reverse. In an upright position, the Hangman is number 12 in the major arcana, and it's this individual that's hanging upside down, that's feeling very comfortable. That's feeling very, very comfortable in their own skin. And this person would have no issue with expressing their anger, setting some boundaries for themselves. I'm wondering this, it's not a boundary card coming out here, but that just came out where I'm wondering if, maybe there are some, you're afraid to set some boundaries. You're afraid to rock the boat because this is in reverse here. And, I think you're afraid for some more discomfort because this is a person that's very comfortable. But in reverse, it's someone that I'm really scared to rock the boat here. I'm really scared that if I decide to express my anger, it's going to create a bigger situation for me. It's going to create a worse situation for me. And it just feels, you think it feels comfortable at this point to keep pushing it down. But the High Priestess comes out. We talked about this feminine side to us, and she represents our intuition, our intuitive side, our inner knowing. We have our own inner guidance. We have our own inner knowing. And I think deep down, that expressing your anger is where you need to go, because you have this, your intuition is this deep inner knowing that this is where I'm supposed to go. And that's coming from here. But you can't access your intuition, your deep inner knowing, until you are grounded into your body. We can only reach our intuition when we're in our body. And then the last card that comes out here for what you are afraid of. Well, here's a little Page of Wands here, and they're in reverse. And all my pages in my deck represent my inner children. And we can have more than one inner child. And because I've been on my own healing journey, and I know I have more than one inner child that holds our memories, holds our trauma, holds our anger, right? And you have this inner child right here who's blocked. And they need to be given the opportunity to express themselves, to be heard. And you are the only one that can hear your own inner child. And they have the wand. And that's the creative direction. That's the direction you're meant to go in. Believe it or not, when we were younger, we had this part of us, this child that was 4, 5, 6 years old, that knew what direction we were supposed to go into. So I think here that there's this there's something with if you take the time over here to get in touch with your inner self, you're going to get in touch with this inner child right here who knows what direction you're meant to go in. And I think that's the pull here, to get in touch with your authentic self, that inner child here. But there's also an inner child here that maybe holds the fear. Because when we are younger and we're not allowed, when we are told we're not allowed to feel this anger of ours, this inner child can feel very rejected and very abandoned. And maybe you have this inner child that is sitting here wanting to connect with you, to tell you about how they were rejected, or they were abandoned or humiliated for not being able to use their anger. And that's gonna, there's gonna be some healing around that. There's always healing when we're called to go inwards and feel and get in touch with that anger that's buried so deep. There's always some healing here. And so how can you begin to release or express your anger in a grounded way? Well, you have the Seven of Wands here. And I think what's really important, this particular individual, this gorilla figure right here, he's going out on his own. He's decided to take this on himself. He's decided to heal this anger. But look what's happening here. He has all these wands that are coming up at him. These people that are saying, no, you come down from there. You're not allowed to do that. And that's where that fear comes in for you. I think you're really afraid that if you decide to go out on this limb and decide to get in touch with this buried anger that you have and embrace it, I think there's going to be some people that aren't going to like it. And that always happens. There's going to be some people that want you to stay where you are, right? Here's this devil that comes right behind it. The devil talks about attachments. And the devil often refers to sometimes some addictions, because this is a healing channel, that we can have these addictions. Sometimes we can really numb our pain. And maybe this is something that's coming up for you. Maybe there's something here that's saying, how are you numbing your own pain, and your own fears around using this anger? Because I think there's a real call for you to go out on this limb right here. Start to set some boundaries for yourself. Start to feel this anger for yourself, and know that, there's going to be some pain here that's coming up, because with the devil card and our addictions, we can have so many different addictions. We can be addicted to scrolling on our phone, whatever it is. But it's a way that we numb ourselves. And we have to be aware that we do that. And then the last card that comes in, the Temperance card, as a final kind of card, that to me this card is a middle ground kind of thing. And it's also, do you see how this angel's just dipping their toe into the water? And water again is emotions. And it's like, this is going to take some time. It's not something that's going to happen right away. It's something that you dip your toe in, where you learn to get grounded into your body, and then you learn to use your anger in a very grounded way. And I do that. I get in touch with my inner children right here to give them a voice. Find out what they're angry about. I do that through my journaling. I really journal from my anger. And so I'm going to leave you, Capricorn, with a video that I recently just did on my other channel called Carol Cares. And it's a video about how to journal from your anger and how to express that. And I think that might help you out. And I'll also leave you with the last video I did, which was on how to get angry. And this one's about getting angry, how to conquer your own fears. And that's what I'm going to leave you with as well. So I want you to have compassion for yourself, Capricorn, for what you're working through. I know this is a very difficult journey, But learning how to embrace your anger in a very grounded way can bring about some real powerful change in your life. So take care, and I'll talk soon. Bye-bye.